The Fringe Podcast, Season 4, Episode 51.
This is Lance Reddick, and you are listening to The Fringe Podcast.
Welcome back to the Fringe Podcast, a podcast dedicated to the Fox television show
Battleship.
Oh, that's a movie I need to go see, I think, right?
Yeah. Daryl, I don't know if you know this, but you don't watch a lot of movies.
I don't. Is that one that I should spend my time and money on?
Definitely. You know, after you rent Waterworld, you should go see that movie.
I've seen Waterworld.
That's embarrassing.
We had this discussion during our last triple cast.
I know we did.
How you doing, Clint?
I am doing here.
Okay.
No, I'm doing well. I'm just kidding.
It's a Thursday night. We want to say welcome to the Bunsen Burners who are joining us for the live show tonight. This is Memorial Day weekend here in the United States. A lot of us have activities going on. We're no exception to that. So we pulled an Audible doing a Thursday night podcast tonight, and I want to just say how much I appreciate the guys who showed up for the live show tonight.
Switcheroo, yeah.
Yeah, switcheroo, for those of you who aren't sports people and know what an Audible is, like Clint, who just looked at me like he hadn't never heard that word before.
You know, that's that web service that we have a link to, right? That has the audiobooks.
Yeah, that's something like that.
Right?
It sounds the same.
Yeah, where you can get
Audible,
a great book like Ender's Game.
Mm-hmm.
How would they find that, Daryl? By going to thefringepodcast.com/audible?
Audible, sure.
Is that right?
It will be by the time this show is over. I don't know.
Go to audible.com/Golden Spiral Media.
I honestly, I don't know the link off the top of my head.
You know what, Daryl?
You're making me promise things that
we're gonna edit this out and we're gonna get it right.
But here's the thing, Clint. We are now recording all of our podcasts on video, and I'm not taking the time to edit those. If you ever want to see the disaster of the live show, go over to our YouTube channel, which I do know that, which is youtube.com/thefringepodcast.
That's right.
Yeah.
Daryl?
Yes.
Would they go to audibletrial.com/Golden Spiral Media to get that excellent book?
An excellent place to go to get that book.
Or one of 100,000 titles?
Sure.
Okay.
Which means if you're not one of the Bunsen Burners for the live show, Clint did some of the best early 90s dancing I think I've ever seen during the intro music to this show.
Well, thank you.
You're going to have to go check out the video for this, which is going to be over at youtube.com. youtube.com/thefringepodcast.
youtube.com/thefringepodcast.
Yes.
All one word?
All one word.
All lowercase? Does it matter?
Doesn't matter.
That's great.
Clint.
Do you have to have the HTTP with the two dots? And
Only if you're on like Internet Explorer 6.
And then the sideways lines.
Otherwise, the browser is smart enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
But yeah, we're doing all of those in our, we're recording all the video and putting them over there now. But I cannot talk.
You know what? That's great. That's just more action that you get with the YouTube show instead of the edited podcast.
So we're here tonight to talk about the latest Fringe episode and kind of Fringe Season 4 as a whole. Here we are with our extra feedback podcast, which we do every year after the finale. But we're also doing a couple of other things that we wouldn't normally throw into a feedback podcast, such as the Fringe Binge.
It's time to get the scoop on Fringe. It's the Fringe Binge. The Fringe Binge.
All right. You know what, Clint? The season may be over, but that does not mean that there's no news happening on Fringe. In fact, this has been a pretty exciting week for Fringe.
This whole week has been crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy with Fringe news.
Why don't you lay some on us?
Well, we got two big announcements this week.
We did.
First of all, we found out that Fringe has been picked up on a non-network cable channel for syndication by Discovery's Science Channel, which is the first, I believe, the first scripted show that they've added via syndication on the Science Channel?
They did Firefly.
Oh, they did. I didn't know that.
They did Firefly.
On the Science Channel?
On the Science Channel.
Okay, I thought that was sci-fi for some reason.
No, and they had, what's the science guy?
Bill Nye?
Yes. No, they had another science guy come in.
Mr. Wizard?
No, that was just terrible. I don't know. He would come in and give, he would talk during segments.
Really?
About the show, yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool.
I don't think they're doing that with Fringe, although it would be a great show to do that with as well.
They should hire somebody who's been doing Science of Tomorrow for 4 years to do that job. Are you listening, Discovery Networks?
They are. That's why they're going to go elsewhere for that position. So yeah, that's really exciting.
That is good. Now, Daryl, there was a lot of comments. I read several articles on it that said that it had been sold to it, and they made a big deal about it being non-network cable. Mm-hmm. Does that mean that the network syndication rights could go to a different network?
I don't know. I would like to think that it does, but I don't know how that works. But I do know I don't know how that works. I do know this, that their syndication with the Science Channel does not include streaming. So they could, and I think they're wanting to syndicate it elsewhere via a streaming service. I don't know if that's Netflix or Hulu or something else, but they're also looking to do that. That would be awesome, because I can't tell you how many people I've said, Fringe sounds interesting, but how do I get caught up?
That's right.
I have to go either buy the episode on iTunes or buy the DVDs out at the store, and that's a big financial commitment for a show that you don't know if you're going to like or not.
That's right.
Now, you could go buy an episode or two and not be out too much money, but still, if they can get it with a streaming service, the barrier to entry going into season 5, if they can get it done quickly, that could go way down. So I'm really hopeful that we'll hear something soon, but I have no idea what they're, how aggressively they're looking to get it signed up for streaming.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, I really do. You know what, Daryl? We should come up with a business. You want to hear my business idea?
Okay.
My business idea is we take these shows that are not available online to stream, we buy copies of the physical discs, and then we let people rent them.
Huh.
We could either mail them to their house, or we could have like a store where they come in and check them out for a fee.
That sounds like nothing anyone's ever done before.
It's the wave of the future, I'm telling you. All right,
boy.
We had another huge announcement.
We did.
Very sad announcement.
This one's not as good, and this announcement comes from TV Line, and it basically confirms the question that I had asked to the producers that time we got to be on a conference call with them a few weeks ago. Seth Gable will not be returning as a series regular in season 5. So that means that he could come in 2 or 3 episodes, but we are not going to see him as a series regular at all in season 5.
Yeah, and I don't think that comes as a huge surprise to anybody
really.
that kind of followed the news about Fringe, about where they want to take the 5th season, and then with the what was it, the third to last episode there at the end of season 4, where they really wrapped up kind of Lincoln's story,
right?
Where he's with Olivia in the Red universe. They really wrapped up the whole Red verse. Right,
which is why we asked the question. A lot of people wanted to know that. Remember, we asked the questions that we got sent in to us the most from the fans, and that was a question that a lot of people wanted to know about, and I know we didn't get the answer that a lot of people were wanting to hear.
Right.
But there is an opportunity or a window, I would say, that he will be in season 5. But honestly, I wouldn't. If with a 13-episode season, I'd be surprised if he was in more than 4 episodes, and I think that's being generous.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I would guess 1.
Yeah,
10 minutes.
So, yeah,
just kind of making a cameo.
Maybe so.
Season finale.
Yeah,
that'd be my guess.
So that's unfortunate, but we'll see. I think it'll be a great season either way. But we love Seth and the work that he's done on the show. He was at Comic-Con last year, so I'm going to assume he's not going to be there this year. I don't know, but we'll find out in a little over a month and a half, I guess, when we're there.
Yeah.
So, a couple other things. I mentioned already that we're on YouTube. We made a big deal about that, kind of joking around. In case you missed that, youtube.com/thefringepodcast. That's our YouTube channel. So I've loaded our last 4 or 5 episodes up there. We're starting to video record them now, so go check that out. If you want to see our mugs and see if our voices match what you think we looked like, you can go check us out over there. That's always weird, isn't it? Like you hear someone on the radio, then you see him and you're like, that's why that guy's on radio.
Yeah, that guy weighs like 400 pounds.
Yeah, that's why we do audio podcasts.
Yes, because I'm 403 pounds.
Which is, half the weight of your mom. The other thing I want to mention is Blog World is coming up oh man, is it coming up fast. Today is May 24th. It's coming up June the 5th, 6th, and 7th in New York City at the Jacob Javits Center. And I hope that you guys will be able to come out and check it out. I understand that a lot of you can't make it to New York. It's expensive to go there. It's expensive for hotels. The tickets aren't the cheapest thing in the world. Those are all real reasons why people can't be there. Maybe you can't get off work or whatever reason. I wanted to let you guys know there is a virtual ticket available. And the virtual ticket, even if you're going to it, they have 10 speakers speaking at a time over a wide range of things, whether it's podcasting, blogging, other forms of new media. You can only be at one place at a time.
Yeah.
So even if you are able to go to Blog World, the virtual ticket, what it gives you is every session. And then every day there are updates, there are exclusive interviews, behind the scenes things. So if you're not able to make it to Blog World, I do recommend checking out the virtual ticket. I wrote a blog post today, and I published that over at thefringepodcast.com/blogworld, all one word. So go check that out. It'll tell you all about the virtual ticket and some of the things what you can expect at Blog World. We're going to be there, or I will. Clint won't be able to be there, but I'll be there leading this panel discussion with Jay and Jack from the Lost Podcast, Zach Logan from the One Piece Podcast, and Rob Sesternino from Rob Has a Podcast. We're going to be leading a panel discussion on tips and techniques for building a successful fan podcast, but there are experts from all types of backgrounds, whether it's blogging or journalism or social media, marketing, podcasting. It's a great, great event, and I hope you guys can be there, take advantage of this opportunity or the virtual tickets. So for more information on that, go over to thefringepodcast.com/blogworld. And I have a new promo code for you this week. They finally gave me my own promo code. The GSPN 10 one still works, but that gives credit to Cliff Ravenscraft for all of those, which is fine. Cliff's a great guy. I now have my own coupon code or discount code, which is PODFAN10. PODFAN10.
All one word?
All one word. So use that code, and you'll get 10% off of the ticket price.
Man, there really ain't no party like a Blog World party, because a Blog World party don't stop.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So
thank you for sharing.
You guys should go and check out Blog World.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. A couple other little things here. I see I put this in the wrong spot on the show notes. I don't want to forget. But Clint, our summer rewatch, it's going on now.
Our summer rewatch?
Yes. We are watching all 4 seasons of Fringe. We're watching them right now. Our first community podcast will be this Saturday, which is May 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I had to double check my time zone there. 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We've got 3 or 4 community members that are going to be on Skype with me. We're going to be chatting about Season 1, Episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if you're hearing this podcast, you're going to get those. They're going to be in the same feed that you get all of our podcasts, or all of our Fringe podcasts through. So no worries on that. It's going to be a ton of fun. I'm really excited about it.
I am excited as well.
Yeah, I rewatched the pilot this week. I still have the other 3 still to watch.
Does he still get stuck in the tree and die from the smoke monster?
Yes, Clint.
Okay.
That's exactly what happened in the pilot of Fringe. Yeah.
That's what I remember.
Sorry. No good. Anyway.
Speaking of no good.
Hopefully you guys will participate in that. If you want to be a part of the community calls, we're not looking for the same people every week. So if you want to be a part of that, send an email over to feedback@thefringepodcast.com with the subject line Summer Rewatch, and I will send you details on how you can participate in our weekly calls. One other note. I know I'm talking a lot here. We'll get started with the rest in just a second. While we are at Comic-Con, we're going to be there over the Saturday, so there will not be a community call on that Saturday. What we'll try to do, is if there's enough of you at Comic-Con, we'll just hook up and kind of do our water cooler talk there. Which means you probably will have to have watched them before you go to Comic-Con. So that's something we're throwing around. We need to know if you're interested in doing that. So if you're going to be at Comic-Con and you want to meet up and do our water cooler discussion, I believe that would be episodes 216 through through 220. I'm going off the top of my head there, but it's somewhere in that range. If you're going to be there and interested in doing that, let us know. Send us an email over at feedback@thefringepodcast.com with the subject line Summer Rewatch, and indicate there that you're interested in doing the Comic Con one. If you want to see the calendar for all of the Summer Rewatch, you can get that at thefringepodcast.com/calendar or goldenspiralmedia.com/calendar. All right, I think I'm done. I know I've been blabbing a lot. Anything else from you?
I don't think so. That was a very full Fringe binge.
It was. So you know what it means now?
Yes, I do.
It's time for Quote of the Week.
Oh, it's the quote of the week. You never know what's gonna happen. Quote of the week. You better get right down and vote for it now. Quote of the week. You never know what's gonna happen. Quote of the week. You better get right down and vote for it now.
Word. All right. This is a pretty short quote of the week.
Which I like.
I'm assuming you're going to be Walter.
Okay. Why wouldn't I be orderly, Daryl?
Because I think I perform the role of a urine sample better than you do.
That's true.
I don't know.
All right. You ready? Excuse me, miss? Is that lemon jello?
These are urine samples?
Oh. Well, in that case, no thank you. I'm more peckish than thirsty.
All right, that was a good one.
That may have been my worst Walter ever. I'm a little rusty, Daryl.
That might have been my worst orderly ever.
That's true.
So that's just the way it goes on a Thursday night, I suppose.
Hey, Daryl, what would you think about, this is kind of random, before we get into feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Some of our Bunsen burners have suggested that we do Night of Desirable Objects, an audio track to that where we do it MST 3K style.
Like we were providing witty banter about the episode?
Yes. Just like for 43 minutes or whatever it is.
You know what? Maybe. I'm interested.
I would do that.
Okay.
I'll even script it.
Would we videotape that too?
I don't think we'd videotape it. We could, I guess.
I don't know if we could, because then we'd be broadcasting the episode.
What we can do is just do like a green screen, and then have like little chairs, and then have little puppets. And if you want to, you can insert your own version of the episode in the green screen. What do you think? Huh? No?
I see a franchise forming here.
Yes. No, I think an audio track would be.
That's funny.
Yeah, we should do it.
Okay, we'll think about it. That's a pretty good idea.
That is a great idea.
You know what else is a good idea?
Some feedback.
Let's do it. All right, we got so much feedback for this podcast. This is already our second feedback podcast for the season 4 finale. You guys send us so much more in. Let me just express how appreciative we are of all of you that sent in feedback. We're not going to be able to get to it all, but for those who are we're going to be playing today, and even those who didn't, we truly do appreciate the contributions you make to the show. So we're going to get things kicked off. These are in no particular order today. These are completely random. So we're going to get it kicked off with Nathaniel.
Hey guys, it's Nathaniel from Atlanta, calling for the Fringe podcast, and actually calling from vacation in Virginia. So I wanted to call and share a few thoughts. First off, I'm going to preface it with something I wrote down a few weeks ago, which was what I thought DRJ was doing before Bell was in the picture. And I wrote down that DRJ is using CFT and its soldiers to lie his way into his plan. He discovered the subjects of the Cortex fan experiences, and knowing the original ZFT's manuscript, used that to manipulate the Cortex fan kids into his agenda. Because Jones was trying to create a new world, he went ahead and used this manuscript that already existed to recruit the Cortex fan kids to do the earthquakes in. Now, however, we find out that what we thought was Jones' agenda was, in fact, also Bell's agenda. And Bell took all of these ideas from Bishop before he had his memories removed. So what I'm trying to figure out now is how DFT comes back into the picture. That's one thing I'm slightly disappointed in, was not even a passing reference to DFT. in terms of the observers, it was so cool to see September captive because we've never met up with him not on his own terms. I think it'll be really cool to see him next season, hopefully as an ally, possibly as a full cast member, trying to ward off the hopeful future. And I am looking forward to seeing what happens in the future once we get next season. But I do want to say one thing. I hate television births. Let's just pick it up after the baby's born next season. I hope the creators agree with me because birthing is weird on TV. Anyway, that's all I can think of off the top of my head. I wanted to say, I did want to throw out that when I heard the show was renewed, and then I heard you guys talking about it on the podcast, for a minute there, I got really excited that there would be more of the Fringe podcast. That's not just that there would be more Fringe. So that's how much you guys are part of my weekly ritual now.
All right, Nathaniel, thank you so much for that. We appreciate the kind words about the Fringe podcast. We're really excited to be coming back next season, of course, because we love Fringe and we love doing this podcast.
That's right.
So I'd have to say, unlike Nathaniel, I do want to see more babies being born on TV.
Oh, really?
No, not really. No, I'm right there with him.
I am too.
Yeah.
They're always awkward.
It's awkward, and it's like, is it a real baby? Is it a rubber baby? And the baby comes out, and sometimes it looks like it's like 3 months old.
Sometimes they overdo it with
Yes.
like the afterbirth stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of gross.
Yeah.
They got too much slime, and yeah, it's kind of disgusting. So,
Although I did like, I don't say I liked, but I liked more the way they did it last year with Folivia's birth. In other words, it was short and sweet, and then the baby was
done.
Like the pregnancy wasn't prolonged, and it was just boom.
Well, she died, and Lincoln cried.
She didn't die.
She did.
She
came back.
didn't. She survived.
Right, she came back.
Right.
But she had died temporarily.
You have this thing where people die in an episode, even if they come back, you still think they're dead.
They are dead, Daryl.
But they're alive.
No.
She's only mostly dead.
That's right.
Yeah.
Somebody can die and then come back to life.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Right?
Yeah, okay.
Am I
yes.
wrong? Okay.
All right. I see what you're saying, but she was alive.
At the end of the episode, but she died. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. Let's get on with some of Nathaniel's other comments.
All right, go
like
ahead.
ZFT. It
Yes.
was a little disappointing that there wasn't a reference, even in passing, to ZFT. Do you think we're going to get anything in the 5th season?
Man, I was really feeling like we were going to back when we thought that Jones, and then for an episode we thought maybe Bell had this agenda where they were trying to combat the observers and knew this future, this war that was coming and this purge. But now I'm not so sure.
Don't you think that yeah, I can't say that. Okay, I'll say it. Don't you think that would have made for a better story?
I can't say that yet because the story isn't over.
Right. I just mean it for this last episode.
It seems that it probably would have been.
The whole ends justifies the means thing,
Yeah.
Theme that we had from season 1, season 2.
Just because I say it seems like it probably would have been because we're not really sure what to make of the Bell character now. He just seems to be kind of this, what's the word I'm looking for? The word's not coming to me, but just,
ambiguous?
No, just driven by his own self.
Narcissistic?
Yeah, that's not the word, but that's a good word too.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit dissatisfying at this point, but I want to see what the rest of the story tells us.
All right. See, I think we're done with this story.
Megalomaniac. That's the word I was looking for.
I gotcha. Hubris. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're done.
With Bell?
I think we're done with this whole story. I think the rest of season 5 is going to be almost entirely in the future.
Okay.
I think we're going to pick up.
But I think
after
it'll
the
tie
birth.
in to what we've seen before.
I'm not saying it won't, but I don't think we're going to circle back around and say, why did Bell do this? Well, it was because of ZFT, and he really just said what he thought Walter wanted to hear or whatever. I don't know. What do you think?
Possible. I think it's possible.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's move on to Marlon.
This is Marlon from Brooklyn, and I'm calling for the Fringe podcast. This is a feedback for A Brand New World Part 2. And first off, I'd like to say I gave this episode 9 version 2 hologram rooms. I just finished listening to your podcast for this episode. And Clint, you said you gave this episode a relatively low rating for 2 main reasons. One was the helicopter, which I didn't really see it, but okay, fine. No, that doesn't matter here nor there. That's just the way how you saw it. And two, because you said for the past 4 years we have been leading up to Olivia and these powers, and then we just got a hint at them, and poof, they were gone. I'd like to disagree with you on that point. For the past 4 years, we've been trying to figure out who's conducting all these experiments and why. And we found that out. It was William Bell conducting experiments to try and figure out which was the right combination of DNA to populate his brave new world. Olivia's powers are a byproduct plus a catalyst for this brave new world. And since William Bell's plot was foiled and there's no longer any brave new world happening, there's no reason for Olivia to have these powers. If they were to keep Olivia with these powers, I think it would hamper the writer's hands in seasons 5 much more than it has to. Writers know that French audience look at every sentence and every scene for inconsistencies and implausible events. Well, implausible for a show about French events, but implausible events. And I can hear you in my ear for every episode of season 5, screaming, Clint, oh, that was dumb because Olivia could have used her powers of stopping that guy from running away. Or, well, that was dumb because Olivia could have used her powers of stopping the bomb from exploding. Or that was dumb because Olivia could have used the powers for that. I think having an easy out to solve problems would hamper the writer's hands from telling a very good story. And I think one thing we can all agree is I would rather have a very good story than a very cool superhero. Once again, guys, you guys do a very good job on the podcast. Can't wait for season 5. Hope it starts on September 21st, which is my birthday, so it will be a great birthday present. And take it easy. Don't live life on the edge. Live life on the fence.
All right. That was very well thought out feedback from Marlon there. Wrong, but really well thought out.
Wow. You just kind of slid that in there.
No, I think you brought up some good points. That it was about trying to figure out why, getting to the why of the Cortex fan and not necessarily seeing her powers. I think for me, just being a nerd, I wanted to see more of that. I can see what he's saying. One thing that I would have to disagree with, just slightly is, honestly, I don't know how much Olivia we're going to get next season.
Oh, really?
I mean, if you think about it, if it's set in the future, we know something bad happened to Olivia, right?
Yes. I mean, we're led to believe that.
We're led to believe that. Mm-hmm. That's not a foregone conclusion, right?
Right.
But we're led to believe that Etta doesn't know who her mom is or hasn't seen her mom in a long time.
Since she was maybe 4.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think we're going to pick up after that. I'm not sure that we're going to get a lot of Liv. And I don't know that, because of that, I don't know that the writer's hands would have been tied.
Okay.
Now, they haven't written any of this as far as I know. They just started writing it.
Yeah. I don't know when
Jeff and Joel.
I know they have they know where they're going, but as far as getting the nitty gritty, I don't know if they started writing that or not.
Let's get down to the nitty gritty.
I saw a tweet today that the Mob Doctor writing crew started writing today. And that's a show that's, debuting in the fall. So,
right.
Of course, the writers have to start before production does.
That's right.
So, and as far as it starting on his birthday, we're moving forward. I mentioned in one of the earlier, I guess, episode 449, about the upfronts.
Right.
And we did learn that Fringe is going to stay on Friday night and at the same time.
Right.
It's going to be preceded by Touch.
That's absolutely right.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
They didn't give us the date, and I had hoped for that, but I didn't necessarily expect that. And I know I mentioned that I hoped we would find out. We're moving forward with the rewatch as if they are going to start on January 21st. The best confirmation I have for
September 21st.
I said January, didn't I? Holy cow. September 21st. Thank you, Clint. The best indication I have that that's true is if you go over to fringepedia.com. No, not Fringepedia. Fringetelevision.com.
Right.
They always have a countdown timer right there at the top of their page to the next episode. And if you look at that, their countdown timer stops on September 21st.
Cool.
So Maybe they got some information on the inside. It's possible they have good relationships with the network and the showrunners too. Right. Better than we do, much better actually. So I don't know. Maybe you'll get your birthday wish. Is what I'm trying to say.
I hope so.
Yeah,
and it was really well thought out. So thanks for that well thought out feedback. I appreciate, even if somebody doesn't agree with me, and I hope that not everybody agrees with me, but I appreciate somebody being able to articulate a well thought out argument instead of just saying, I don't agree with you and that was dumb.
Okay.
Don't you, Daryl?
I do. Sorry, I was thinking based on your comment, I'm going to switch the order here and I'm going to go ahead and play. I think this is the right one. Devin in Colorado.
Hello, Clint and Daryl. This is Devin from Colorado calling in with my feedback for Brave New World Part 2. Hopefully I didn't miss the deadline. Now, I've noticed a weird phenomena happening throughout the course of time in which I've listened to your guys' podcast. When I first started listening, I tended to agree more so with Daryl than I would with Clint. In fact, I never agreed with Clint. But then something happened around mid-season 3 where all of a sudden I started agreeing with Clint more than I did Daryl. So I'm going to go ahead and side with Clint here real quick. It was still a good episode. I mean, I really love the freaky eye Rebecca Mader thing. Everyone does. But it felt, I don't know, the helicopter scene was a little ludicrous in a way. Like, I understand, yeah, it's Fringe and that stuff happens in Fringe. But it was a little out there. And I almost felt like it was a method to save them money, to not have to put a CGI freighter in the shots. Well, only Peter can see it, so we don't have to put a freighter in the ocean, so that will save us money. And that's fine, it works for the plot, but it just, I didn't feel that scene very well. And then the finale, as point of comparison, let's go back to the season 3 finale. Peter disappears, and we have no clue why. Like, we have no clue what just happened, and we have no clue why it just happened. Whereas this cliffhanger, when September says, oh, they're coming, we have to warn the others, we know exactly what's happening. The observers are coming back, and we know why they're coming back, because they destroyed Earth in the future, and they need a habitable planet. So there's not really a sense of mystery around the cliffhanger. It's like, oh, yeah, the observers are coming. We know that. Which is fine. I mean, it still gives us a lot to talk about with the summer. And I still love the episode. I still love the series overall. It was a little bit of a disappointment, but whatever. It was a really good episode nonetheless. And that's it. Thank you guys for doing the podcast. It's really awesome. And I will see you guys next season.
I think it's easily explainable. Most people, and I'm the rare exception, get a little bit more senile as they get older. Clint and Devin are clearly classic examples of that. What do you think?
Well, I think Devin, as I said with Marlon, articulated his point very clearly. Mm-hmm. I don't know why he would agree more with me, except that I was right, obviously, with this episode. But, other than that, I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. I love that you and I have such differing opinions on this. This was reinforced this week. I won't spend a lot of time on it, but there was a great interview this week that The Verge did with Damon Lindelof.
Right.
And help me out. Is it Josh?
Josh Tobolowsky
from The Verge.
Who used to be the editor-in-chief for Engadget.
Right, which I love Engadget. He almost articulated word for word what I think you would say to Damon Lindelof if you had the guts and the opportunity to say it.
I think that's true with one exception. Josh was confused about the fact that
everything happened.
Right.
Yeah, he was. That was a little surprising.
Yeah, which I was never confused, and that was never disappointing to me. So, other than that,
yeah,
it's like if I was able to sit down with Damon Lindelof and be completely honest with him, which I couldn't do.
Yeah, and it was a great interview because Josh articulated it in a very respectful way, was very gutsy with his questions, and Damon was very respectful in his response to that. But my point in bringing that up is because you and I differ greatly on our opinions of the ending of Lost.
Right.
So much so that you act like it. So much so you act like it doesn't exist. We finally got an email in the other day that says, "I don't want to be rude, but there were actually 6 seasons to Lost." And I emailed him back. I said, "Well, clearly I need to bring the new listeners up to speed on the joke,
Right.
because and I need to be more vocal about my support of the 6th season. Because Clint acts like it doesn't exist because he hated it. I loved the 6th and final season of Lost, but we have this great jabbing back and forth, and that's where we're at on this season finale as well, where we're just at different points of our opinion and appreciation of it, I guess. I was right. You're wrong. That's really the basis of it.
From my perspective, that's correct. I was right and you were wrong. But no, I gave it a 7.5.
I know.
It's not like I gave it a 3.
Right.
And so, because I didn't give it a 9 like everyone else,
right,
I'm getting, which I don't mind.
Yeah.
My opinion is my opinion, right?
Sure. And you're entitled to it.
Yeah.
It's like, we're going to do an episode here after we wrap this up for those of you in the live show where we're reviewing the Alien trilogy. We just did Alien in our episode 12 of the Triplecast. We're going to be doing Aliens, Alien Resurrection, and Alien 3, not in that order, the proper order. I was talking to a guy at work about it today, and I wasn't as high on Aliens as he was. But that's the thing. I at the end of it, he's like, I can't believe you don't like this movie as much as I do. I said, hey, it's my opinion. You can't do anything about it.
Right.
I'm entitled to my own opinion.
Right.
And that's where you're at, too.
Yeah.
It's just, my opinion's more valid than yours.
Unless it's about Lost or Fringe.
Okay.
Or movies.
All right. You ready to move on?
I think so.
Thanks, Devin, for that. All right, we're going to move on to a guy that we haven't heard from in a long time. Here he is. He's actually in the chat room right now, too. It's Kenny Carson.
Kenny Carson.
From Dorchester.
Hello, gentlemen. This is Kenny from Dorchester. I know I haven't checked in much. I've between school full-time and work full-time. I haven't had a chance to do it. I don't know how you two do it, but I appreciate that you do. I love the way the season wrapped up. It's been really fun to watch. The ending was really well. I'm looking forward to next season. Except it's Worcester. It's unbelievable. But I want to say I really look forward to speaking to you guys during the summer and next season. And now that the Red Sox and Yankees are both at about 500, Darryl and I will have something to complain about all summer long. And you guys have a nice summer. Look forward to talking to you. And remember, if you're going to be wicked smart, Worcester, not Worcester. Unless, of course, you got Darryl and, I guess, the executive producers of Fringe. I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, you boys, enjoy the weekend. And everyone else, look forward to talking to you all. And take it easy.
Nice.
Yeah. Did I tell you when I went to New York, I got to go to a Yankees game?
No.
Which I went because I knew that they were going to get beat, which they did, and it was fantastic to watch the Yankees get beat.
I'm going to mute your microphone.
But no, it's one of those things that even though they're an evil, greedy corporation, you kind of have to do once in your life.
I've been to a Yankees game, but it was at the ballpark at Arlington.
Yeah.
It wasn't at
where the Rangers
Bronx.
played. Yeah.
Yep. And the Yankees won that day.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Well, they were playing the Rangers.
And Mariano Rivera was a jerk. But I still like the Yankees. Yeah. That's it? That's all your story? You went to a Yankee game, they lost? All right.
That's right.
Well, thanks, Kenny, for calling that in. We do have something to gripe about. I'm assuming he means he's going to gripe that the Yankees are above 500. I'm going to gripe that the Red Sox are above 500. But right now, my attention is focused on the Thunder, which there's a chance, I think a legitimate chance, that the Celtics and the Thunder could meet in the finals. Now, the Celtics need to take care of business in Game 7 with the 76ers, and then they have to get past the Heat.
Right.
But I think the Celtics are very capable of that, and we have to get past the Spurs.
Right.
But I think we're capable of doing that, too. That'd be cool to have the Thunder and the Celtics in the NBA Finals.
That would be cool.
Yeah. That would be awesome. All right. That's enough of it with Kenny. Thank you so much. It's great to hear back from you, Kenny. It's been too long.
That's basketball, right?
Yeah, it's basketball.
Okay.
Clint. Yeah. All right, let's move on to Pam.
This is Pam from San Francisco. And here's a quote from Joel Wyman from last fall. Jeff and I have said it before, but we would never ever want 3 seasons of a show to not exist anymore. That's not fair. Yet here we are at the end of season 4, and the first 3 seasons of Fringe essentially don't exist anymore. I realize that Peter remembers the events of seasons 1 through 3, and now Olivia does too. But the only place those events still exist is inside Peter and Olivia's minds. The world they live in is a place where those 3 seasons didn't happen. And this means that Pinkner and Wyman have freed themselves from any obligation to maintain continuity with seasons 1 through 3. Continuity is what proves that earlier seasons really happened. On top of that, pretty early on in season 4, it became clear that the differences between the two timelines were not limited to things that could be explained by Peter being absent from the new timeline. Instead, the explanation became, well, it's a different timeline. People make different choices in different timelines. And again, that's not fair. I feel that the showrunners broke their promise to the fans. I feel that, the time I spent, paying attention to detail and following the story closely during the first 3 seasons is time that's turned out to have been wasted, and I'm very disappointed. I'm sorry to be such a downer, but this is how I feel. Bye.
Man, she really was a Pammy Downer. Not really.
But
it's completely valid.
It's completely valid, and I know you're just joking around.
Yeah, it's not lost on me at all. That's one of the problems I had with the beginning of the 4th season, is that they've taken these characters that we've built this. It's a TV show, right? I don't want to over dramatize it, but these characters that we've grown to know and love over the past 3 seasons, and basically said, we want to bring this one villain back, so we're going to basically make it like the first seasons happened, but nobody remembers them, and so they're not really valid to the story moving forward.
Right.
And the key is that they are kind of valid to 2 of the characters, but completely invalid to everyone else.
Right. That's true. And I don't really know that I don't feel like we got a good payoff for that. By the end of the season, was it worth it to see Peter disappear and reappear into the timeline? What did that give us that we didn't have before? Well, it gave us Jones back, and it gave us Belle back.
And it gave us Peter and Olivia back with no baby back.
Right.
I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby. Jump in anytime now, Daryl.
I'm good. But I don't know that was worthwhile, because there were still so many things that weren't explained. Like, how did the machine get there? How did it get turned on? How did the bridge get created?
You mean with the new season?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
And some other, we could sit here and rattle off a few others. So, Pam's opinion is very valid. For me, I probably just reached a point where I just said, I'm moving forward with where the story's at now, and I'm just not going to dwell on that. But it's frustrating that we didn't really get those resolved.
Yeah, I think it is. I think when you look back at the 4th season as a whole, if you look at the individual stories and individual episodes, we got some happy endings.
Oh, sure.
But, I would have liked to have seen what I can only assume is going to happen, with a few episodes. Season 4. Maybe season 4 will be the season that doesn't exist for me.
Maybe so.
We go 1, 2, 3, and 5, right?
Yes.
With Letters in Transit and maybe a couple others.
Okay.
As kind of key episodes.
Sure.
What do you think?
I think it's possible we could feel that way at the end of the story. I do think it's still possible that they could make it all make sense.
Right. They can make it all tying together.
Right. We'll know more.
Next
13
season.
episodes
from
now.
Which, if I've said this once, I've said it 1,000 times. I trust the writers. I trust the showrunners. They've taken us on this amazing ride over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
It has always paid off. I've never been disappointed in Fringe the way that I've been disappointed in other shows.
Okay. Fair enough.
I think that's reasonable to say.
Absolutely, I do.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna move on to Sarah.
Hi, Clinton Darrell. This is Sarah from sunny Pine Knoll Shores, North Carolina. I'm the wife of Chip, and I'm calling about Fringe. So, I had an epiphany. I was going to send this to you via Egvortis file, but I couldn't get my Egvortis to work. Oh well. Olivia's cortexiphan may have been used up or not. in healing her. But baby Nugget in utero still probably has the cortexiphan in her. Remember, they experimented with children because of the effect, or the greater effect, of cortexiphan, and that it was more powerful in children. Imagine the power in a fetus. This baby will be the first person born a cortexiphan kid. Also, wanted to think about this. Peter is from the red verse and operates on that frequency. Henry was born to him and Folivia, who operated on the same frequency. And that wasn't satisfactory for somebody. But this baby has his frequency from the red verse and Olivia's frequency from the blue verse. She is the nexus of the two universes. That plus the cortexiphan powers may make her the best weapon against the observers or the mother of them. What do you think? Do you think Belly knew that? Did September? Enjoy the podcast, guys. It's always fun, and have a great week. Bye.
All right. Well, I'm sorry you had trouble with the audio format. It's actually Egg Vortex is the name of the
No,
audio
it's
format. So I can understand the confusion there.
I gotta say, sorry to interrupt you. That was much more intelligent than anything we've ever heard from Chip. Wouldn't you agree?
What?
That's Chip's wife.
Oh, was it?
Did you miss that part?
Yes, I must have missed it. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's real funny.
That's cool that we're getting calls in from husbands and wives.
Yeah, and we've gotten that this past season from Twinge and in the Bunsen Burners,
Yeah,
right? Which is fun.
Pretty cool.
It's a couple's show.
It's a family show.
That's right. It's a family show.
Blowing up brains and stuff. It's a family show.
That's right. Baby Nuggets getting born and Olivia dying twice.
Yeah.
No, I think it was a good point about the baby. You know, here's what I was thinking. We're gonna have a summer movie, Knocked Up 2, the Henrietta story.
The Henrietta story. I like her point about each parent being from a different universe and having a different frequency.
She could be the secret weapon, which we know she kind of is, right?
Yeah, we definitely in Letters of Transit we were definitely led to believe that she has some special abilities that are probably because of the cortexiphan in her system from being in utero in Olivia. So
I like that theory. You know, Denef kind of mentioned it in the chat room. Says they can't read her.
Right.
They already can't read her. That's going to come in handy, but it could be that frequency thing, right?
Sure.
Maybe they're in the same universe. They can only read minds at a particular frequency. There's some sort of frequency given off, but they can't read it at this off frequency.
I like that.
I like it too.
Yeah. Very cool. Thank you for calling in. Let's see, that was Sarah. So we're going to move on to Shane.
Hey, Daryl. This is Shane Azaria from Guthrie, calling for the Fringe podcast. I was calling with information. I didn't know if you knew this, but that the pistol that Walter shoots Olivia in the head with is actually a Luger. That's the name of it. It's a German weapon that was issued World War I and II to the German army. So that ties back again with, I guess, with Hitler. So there's another way of looking at things. All right. I will keep listening, and goodbye.
Thank you, Shane, but it's not a Luger. No, it definitely is a Luger. Yeah, that was a good catch.
It is a good catch.
You know, we've kind of had these Nazi tie-ins through the comic book, especially, but also the Bishop Revival, and several other things. So
that's right.
I imagine that's going to come. Surely they're going to tie that back in.
I hope so.
In a major way in season 5.
I certainly hope there's a payoff for that. We've got another caller. If I remembered which one it was off the top of my head, I'd go ahead and pull it up. I'm not exactly sure which one it is, but the Nazi thing's going to come up again here before we're done.
Cool.
Yep. Thank you, Shane, for calling that in. We're going to move on to Trey.
Hey, Clint and Daryl and fellow Fringers. This is Walter Nitzdew, long time listener of the podcast and sometime participant of the live chat on Friday nights. Usually I'm in the East Coast, but I usually have to watch it with the West Coast folks on the DVR. So I don't very often get to be part of the group on Sunday because I'm a pastor, and so Sunday afternoons are kind of shot for me. And usually by the time I've got around to watching the episode, it's after after Sunday. So I don't often get a chance to participate. So I'm glad that we're doing this double feedback episode so that I can throw in my 2 cents here. I loved the episode. There were so many squirm-inducing moments, breath-holding moments, and that I love those things about Fringe. And one of the biggest ones for me, being a Hebrew theologue, was Belly's "I am" statement, of course alluding to the Aher, Asher Acher declaration in Exodus 3, where God says, "I am who I am." And I thought that was brilliant writing. It made him go from this intriguing character to this really powerful villain for me. And I thought the episode would have been an outstanding and very satisfying season finale. And it would have left a few questions for us, like all shows are going to do. But a couple of those questions kept turning over in my mind and have led me to a couple of theories. So I'm going to throw those out there. And I haven't listened to last week's feedback and yet. It hadn't come out yet. This is Wednesday afternoon. So some of these theories may have already been projected by somebody else. And that's one of the things I love about this show is it leaves us every season with this long time of wanting new stuff, but a good chance to kind of churn through all our theories and ideas and stuff. So here goes mine. So the questions that it brought up for me was, first, where did Bell go? How did he know about the ruin stasis? And how did he know about and where did he get the gun that he used on September, or that was used on September? And then another question I had was thinking back to Letters of Transit. It was, why would the team be in amber? I mean, wasn't the need for amber eliminated by the Versus joining forces through the bridge and teaming up and everything? Seems like the war between the worlds was averted, right? And no one really has knowledge and tech for crossing except for Liv, and she's friends with the Red Verse. Well, no one except for Belly, obviously. And then another question is, where did the observers come from? And I think we've theorized over that all over the place. And why is September and some of the others good ones when it seems like the observers of the future are so evil? So I kept playing with these questions and came up with this theory. So my theory is that Bell went back to the future from which he came from. And I think he's been dwelling throughout the future, possibly trying to find a time in where there is a cure for his lymphoma. And I think he's using time-jumping technology that he and Walter had developed along with their universe-jumping tech. To me, this explains the rune and the gun tech that he brought back with him. It was simply tech that he developed and he'd become accustomed to using where he comes from to fight the observers, which in the future are going to be these kind of bad guys. They've continued to evolve into a superhuman race that have come to disdain their lesser human ancestors. So that would mean that part of Bell's motivation in the season 4 finale was not just a god complex, but having seen the future, maybe he's trying to stop it before the observers had a chance to ever really develop and the 2036 episode that we saw becoming a reality. So here's my wild and crazy theory for season 5. And that's that what season 5 will bring us is Walter rediscovering and remembering his time-jumping research and beginning to work on it, but not completing it. And the reason he doesn't complete it is because he has to amorize himself and the rest of the team to save them from the Observer's takeover. But it's his granddaughter, whose genes are, of course, filled with cortexiphan and outside of time and space and universe stuff, that finds it years later and coming to work at the underground science wing of the Fringe division. And she comes across it and perfects it and tries to use it to journey through time to find a way of freeing themselves from their observer overlords. And so she becomes, in that, the genesis for the observers, those same observers that now enslave her race. And then as far as the Amber and Letters of Transit, perhaps Belly's Olivia activation experiment that we saw at the finale caused a permanent, kind of as seen in the blighted red verse, permanent damage to the blue verse. And maybe that's why in the 2036 episode we saw Central Park blighted. We hear about this absence of coffee. So my guess is that next season we'll start seeing events that cause Walter to develop Amber. And as far as September and the other monthlies, they're observers that Etta interacts with in her time travels and recruits to be rogue observers to help humanity and save the Earth from future observers' corruption. So wild theories, I know, but I've just been having fun playing with all the info that we've put together up to this point. So now, where did I put my hair gel? Man, my hair keeps falling down. I better fix it. Walter Notes due out.
Nice. It's good to hear from you. I think that's the first time he's ever called in.
As far as I know, as far as I can remember.
Man, he rattled off that Hebrew, didn't he?
I know. I was like, Makalaka Pisang. I didn't understand what he was saying.
That was awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Okay, he does have some pretty far out there theories.
He's got some lots of theories. You know, time travel really on Fringe, not plausible.
Not going to happen.
Yeah. Observers, these mythical beings on Fringe. I mean, you know, maybe if this was some other show like Big Bang Theory or something.
Here's the thing. I can't disagree with anything he said. I think that it's all plausible. But for me, the one thing that stuck out was his idea that Ella would... Thank you. Would be looping through time to try to save them from the purge and the oppression of the observers, but would end up being the mother of the observers. And I like that theory, except that we're going into the final, what we know is the final season. And I would be completely dissatisfied, I think. If I'm understanding that right, I would be completely dissatisfied with that as the ending, as what it turns out to be. Because you're caught in some sort of loop now. You know, you're trying to save yourself from yourself, and that's never going to happen. So that's my only thing to say is I hope that that's not true, because I would not be satisfied by that. Now, if this were the third season or no danger of getting if we didn't know this was the final season, is what I'm trying to say, and there was a chance to really make that the case and then resolve it in a different way, I would say absolutely that's definitely possible. But I don't think they would have a chance to resolve it, and that would be what we were stuck with, so I can't be satisfied with that.
Yeah, I would take a little bit different approach than you, Daryl, on that. And the only reason I say that is because at least we think we know that Peter did just that, right? We don't know about the observers. We know that he's important to the observers.
Sure.
But with the machine, 2015, getting the machine looping back, we assume that that happened an infinite number of times, right? Until he finally, quote, got it right.
Right. That's right.
So the theory that Etta did the same thing, I think is out there, but I think it's out there because we've already had that trend from Peter. It's unlikely that now that Etta's been born, that she'll continue that trend. To me. Could be, though. You know, we saw the Nazis, we saw, you know,
the time machine in that
Walter Bischoff, right? With the time machine.
Right.
It's possible that, you know, each generation gets closer to the end. Each generation is responsible for time travel. That's
a cool idea.
Yeah.
That's a really cool idea.
I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Okay. Well, either way, I mean, and you threw out a lot of stuff out there. It was good. We were glad you had the opportunity to call in, and we really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Any other thoughts?
Nope.
All right. We're going to move on to Vicky.
Yeah, Vicky, Hale, Middletown, Ohio. We're calling for Fringe. We absolutely love it. They've done a great job on it. Thank you. Bye.
All right, Vicky.
I love it.
That's short, sweet, to the point. Vicky, Hale. Where was she from?
I don't remember. I should. I've listened to that like 5 times.
We could just play it again because it was like 3 seconds.
It's funny. We went from Trey, who was almost 5.5 minutes, which is longer than
Ohio.
we normally allow, to Vicky, who was like 11 seconds, the shortest ever.
Middleton, Ohio.
All right. I think we can squeeze her in one more time.
Yeah, Vicky, Hale, Middletown, Ohio. We're calling for Fringe. We absolutely love it. They've done a great job on it. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. That might be the best sign-off we've had.
I should have put her after... It was Pam that was the Pam Downer.
Yeah.
That would have been nice contrasting the two.
Yeah. Pam wasn't a downer.
Yes, she was.
No, she wasn't a downer. She was just giving her honest opinion, which
sure she was.
I happen to slightly agree with.
Well, you're a downer, too.
I'm not a downer.
Yes, you are.
I love this show.
I'm getting depressed just being in the room with you.
Oh, Daryl. Let's go on to our other podcast before we have to hug each other in a corner.
All right, let's move on to Jesper.
Hey, Daryl and Clint. or vice versa. This is Jasper calling from Amsterdam for the first time this season. It's for the extra feedback episode after the finale, so I guess I couldn't have made it any later, huh? First of all, I want to thank you for your great podcast. I think without you guys, I might even have given up on Fringe already, and I'm so glad I didn't. So, thanks for that. I'm calling in to point out a little answer we got that I haven't heard mentioned on one of your shows yet. It's an answer we got back in the episode Worlds Apart, by the way. And that is what it was that made Lincoln and Alt Lincoln such different people. I remember they were talking about it and couldn't figure out where their paths split because they had the same school, they had the same parents, they had the same first girlfriend, everything. Well, I think in World Apart, we got the answer to that. And it all came down to Cortaxiphan, and so the existence of William Bell. Because we learned that Red vs. Lincoln had a relationship with Nick Lane's sister. However, in the Blue verse, Nick Lane was dosed with Cortaxiphan, and his abilities caused the death of his sister. So she was never around for Lincoln to have a relationship with. Now, this must have been a very special girl to make the difference between dorky Lincoln and cool Lincoln, but it still seems the answer that the writers gave us. I thought it was cool to point out. I wanted to do that. I can't wait till next season, and let's just hope it will be a season that when it's all said and done, Clint will acknowledge the existence of. Talk to you soon. Bye.
It's like he's been in the room with us, listening to your comments.
I know, that's funny.
Isn't that weird?
That's really funny.
The audience really knows you and the way you think.
It's scary. Yeah, they agree with me so many times. It's not funny.
Yeah,
Jasper, what a great catch.
Yeah.
I totally missed it. I was thinking it had more to do with Olivia.
I was too.
But they kind of gave us the hint at the beginning of the season with Help Me Out. The beginning of the season where he had the two. One was the serial killer and one was psychologist. John.
Mm-hmm.
What was the name of the episode, though? Do you remember?
Oh.
Night of Desirable Objects, I think.
I don't remember the name of the episode. Help us out. Help us out, Bunsen Burners.
Night of Desirable Objects. Yep, that was it.
No.
That's not it.
No, that's not it.
Anyways, One Night in October. I was close.
One Night in October.
Makes a hard man humble.
I don't know I don't even know the words.
I can hear the devil sneaking up on me. All right, that's it. That's all I got. Anyways, what was I even talking about? Do you even remember? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got the hint right at the beginning of that season where one person made a huge difference between a psychologist and a serial killer. Great catch.
Mm-hmm.
Great catch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good job.
And I also love that episode. That was one of my favorites.
It was a great one.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna stay on that side of the world.
The Redverse?
And the Europe side of the world. And we're gonna go to AJ.
Hello, Clint and Daryl, and listeners of the Fringe podcast. It's AJ from London. Just wanted to share a few thoughts about the season finale. I actually felt a little bit underwhelmed by the finale. The episode Letters of Transit already showed us that Olivia was going to be pregnant, that Astrid was going to be okay, and that the observers are coming. But still, it was a good episode. It was just not as exciting as the high standards set by previous Fringe season finales. Spooky moment was Rebecca Mader's character, her crazy eyes, and her voice. That was really creepy. It was like she was, possessed by a demon, but also a bit like an android or a robot. Those eyes and that voice was really creepy. And William Bell mentioned that Peter and Olivia could be his Adam and Eve in his new universe. We've seen hints at that before, and we've seen that Henrietta might well be the seed of Adam and Eve, which was revealed at the end of the episode. And it goes back to the apple glyph that we see every week, and the seed. So that's it. That's the season finished. I really look forward to season 5. Just to leave you with this thought is, how much do you think we'll see of Olivia's pregnancy? There's only 13 episodes left, so I wouldn't be surprised if the opening episode we already see Olivia heavily pregnant, or we already see she's already given birth, as I really need to move things forward. But it looks like we're going to see some 2036 in the episodes too in season 5. So it's all go. Until September, this is AJ from Fringe Division, London.
All right, AJ, thanks for that feedback. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think we're going to see Olivia pregnant at all.
Do you think they might they might tell the story from two ends? Like they'll tell it.
No, I don't.
And you know where I'm going
Yes.
here. Just in case others don't, because I don't. This is all in my mind. Where Olivia is part of the story is happening in say 2012. Her pregnancy is getting bigger. Part of the episode is happening in 2036, where we see what's happening, and it kind of culminates at the end of the season with the birth of Edda, and now we know how they got to that point, and by the flash forward or the flashback, whichever one they primarily use, it would be the opposite. You know, we're able to see how what happens going down the road.
Yeah, I think
so. You're saying no?
I think it's a really ineffective storytelling technique.
Memento did it really well.
That's been done and been abused.
Mm-hmm. It has to be done right, but it can be done right.
Yeah, I mean, if you get to the end there and she has Edda and she dies, and then she's in a church with a white light.
There we go. How many times are we going to have to hear you gripe about this next season?
You know, I don't know.
Maybe, the Lost series finale was 2 years ago to the day yesterday.
I know.
Maybe it's time for you to rewatch it and gain some new appreciation.
You know, I would rewatch the first season over and over and over again. And be happy never finding out what happened after that.
Okay.
Allow the mystery to continue with the hatch. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I love all 6 seasons of Lost. Some of them are better than others.
Yeah, Zeppelin says for Clint it was 3 years ago when Lost ended.
Nice.
I loved the show. I'd say this all the time.
I know.
I loved it. I loved the first 5 seasons.
I shouldn't have brought it back up again.
I loved the 6th season until the last episode, and then it was like time travel, where I went back and hated the entire 6th season.
I see.
Because it was like the 6th season didn't matter at all.
It did, but we're not going to go there.
Half of the
we're
6th
not going to
season
go there.
Did not matter at all.
We argued it ad nauseum. All right. We still have requests for us to do a Lost podcast, like a rewatch podcast,
What?
the whole thing.
For the whole thing?
Yeah. We have requests for that fairly regularly.
I would have to duck out after the 5th season.
All right. Well, let's move on.
All right.
I don't want to dwell on that too long. We're going to stay in that area of the world.
Okay.
With Diarmid.
Hey, Clinton Darrell. This is Diarmid from Ireland with feedback for the latest episode of Fringe, A Brave New World Part 2. I'd give this episode an 8 out of 10 because, in my opinion, this episode was definitely written as a series finale, not a season finale. So, as a result, there was not a lot of suspense on screen. There was definitely the feeling that no matter what was happening on screen at the time, we were all going to end up with that happy ending at the end. I'd also like to throw my hat into the ring concerning the theories about Mr. X. I agree with the theory that Walter was in fact Mr. X. We've seen 2 possible futures, and in both, Olivia has been killed by Walter. Probably the more unpopular of the theories concerning Mr. X, but what are you going to do? I've been a fan of your podcasts for a while, and I hope to hear more of you guys over the summer. Keep up the good work, guys.
All right, here's the other thing about the 6th season of Lost.
Are you not even going to acknowledge Diarmid's voicemail?
No, this is tying right into it.
Okay, all right.
If this had been the end of Fringe,
okay,
would you have been disappointed?
A little bit.
Slightly, because we're not going to get any more Fringe.
And they gave us kind of a doom and gloom perspective of what the future had in store with the Letters of Transit episode.
Right. So
then we wouldn't have gotten any resolution on the ZFT or that whole thing, because Bell didn't seem to be tied into that. So those are the things I would have been disappointed
in. Would you have felt like this entire season was wasted?
Maybe.
Really?
Maybe.
Like they wasted this entire season?
Maybe.
Like you went back and they had just written off the entire season? Okay.
Maybe. There were some things that there are some things that I really, really loved about the season, so I don't know that I could have said that. But like we said at the very beginning of this podcast, there's some other things that I'm still wondering if sending Peter back through the machine to change the timeline, what did it give us? I mentioned it. I'm not going to rehash everything. It gave us Bell, it gave us David Robert Jones, a few other things, but I don't know. I might have been pretty upset the more I dwelt on those things. And that's the thing. If you dwell on them,
You gotta let go of the hate clip.
You gotta Kenny in the chat room says that he hasn't gotten over the 1986 World Series. Got to build a bridge at some point and get over it. It turns you into a bad person like Clint.
Daryl Love can build a bridge.
Is that right?
Yes.
I think I heard somebody mention that.
Between your heart and mine.
Yeah. You're not going to sing it, huh? Thank you.
Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time?
Okay. Let's move on to Joyce.
Hi, this is Joyce from Sacramento calling for the Fringe podcast. I'm thinking I might be too late, but I wanted to stick my 2 cents in because I loved the season finale. I think it was great. And I just wanted to make a comment about the naysayers that are not crazy with the season and the way it went. Because the way I see it, the only way to heal the universes was to change what happened to date. Basically, we do still have the same Peter and Olivia, and Walter becomes even more healed and redeemed because he had these talks with Elizabeth and then Walternate. And this would not have been possible without Peter getting in that machine and changing things. Things were just so bad between the universes, there was no way any of that would have happened. Also, the Over There characters are more likable now because they didn't do all the horrible things that they did in season 3. And of course, it was wonderful that Bolivia did not have Peter's baby. So in effect, I feel this season was the only logical conclusion to the conflict between the universes that we saw last season. So coming ahead, my only concern is where is Olivia? Clearly she was not in Amber with everybody else. I don't know if she's somewhere special with her Cortexiphan powers or if she's in the other universe, but that doesn't actually even make sense because why would she not be with her daughter and raising her daughter? Etta said she hadn't seen either of her parents since she was 4, so wherever she is, she's, I assume, in some kind of suspended animation, or she would not have been absent from her daughter's life. So I just can't figure out, where she is, and that worries me. But I guess we'll get the answers to that. Also, in terms of that hesitation that Olivia had before telling Peter it was his child, I think something's up. I don't know what though. She may have seen something when she died. I don't know, but I think all that, if you just sort of look at the subtlety of the nodding and stuff that she did before or after she told Peter, the nodding, I think, was, yes, it's your baby, even though she didn't say, yes, it's your baby. But I'm sure it's Peter's, so I don't think it's Lincoln's. But I do think something's up. And I guess, again, we have to wait till next fall to find out what that might be. So anyway, that's all for now. I'm going to miss you guys during the summer. And so go Fringe and go Oklahoma City Thunder and Kevin Durant. Bye.
Hey, I like that.
I like Joyce too. She's a smart lady.
We're going to miss you too.
But we have the summer rewatch.
Yeah.
So we'll still be in your earbuds, hopefully, all summer long.
That's true.
There won't be as much Clint because of travel and some things he's got going on. So we may not be singing as much, but you'll hear the wonderful soothing sounds of my voice. That's all they really care about, Clint.
Can't get enough of your love, baby.
We should just do a whole singing podcast of Clint.
What? No. That's a terrible idea.
All right. She had some really good points there. I didn't intentionally play her after the doom and gloom of AJ and Dearman, but it fit in really nicely. She brought a couple of things up that I hadn't thought about, and I think they're really valid points as far as the purpose of Peter, disappearing, coming back into the timeline, that sort of thing. One was that we got baby Henry erased,
which is great,
and
baby Nugget.
Baby Nugget's gone, and the observers told us that it was important for them
for that not to happen.
Right. So that was one reason. Another reason was that the Redverse was healed. Now it was not completely healed, but it was healing, and it was very much better place than it was at the end of season 3.
Right.
And the conflict between the two universes really had gone away pretty much completely by the end of season 4. So those were some significant things that happened as a result of the alternate timeline.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, was it worth the season for that? I don't know.
I don't know. Those are some pretty big things to me.
Yeah, they could have killed Baby Henry.
Oh, come on. They couldn't have done that.
If Peter... Well, think
They're
about
going
it
to
this
kill
way.
a baby on TV.
Think about it this way. They already did it. They flashed forward at the end of the episode to show that the Red Verse had been destroyed, so Henry was dead anyways.
That's hardly the same thing.
Why? Why is that not the same? He's gone. The Red Verse is gone. That problem is solved.
If you just wipe him along with everybody else out, that's one thing. But if you actually go target a baby or a young child, that's completely different.
So what you're telling me is killing one person is worse than killing 7 billion people.
In terms of what you can get away with on television and the audience be with you, yes, completely different.
Unbelievable, Daryl.
You can kill 7 billion people all day long.
Which is the
You
larger
kill one
number,
child.
Daryl? 1 or 7 billion?
1.
It's like when Alderaan got blown up. That was cool.
That was awesome. It was like the sound of a million screaming voices all crying out at once.
That's right. But when the little Ewok died, that was a worse scene, right? It's a good point, Daryl. Good point.
You know what I'm saying. You're just being a butt face. I don't
That's
even know
not
what
hard.
Joyce. I don't even know what Joyce said after that. Now, do you have any other comments on what Joyce had to say?
No, but thank you for calling in.
All right, we have 2 more. This one is Anne.
Hi, this is Anne from Wisconsin. I am the spouse of the other Dave who called in a few weeks back to leave feedback for the Letters of Transit episode. And my feedback ties into that episode and the finale, Brave New World Part 2. I'd like to propose that the bullet we saw so lovingly and in detail pushed out of Olivia's brain by that television antenna, or whatever it was, might be the bullet that we saw around Henrietta's neck. So in a way, yes, it is the bullet that killed her mother, but that doesn't mean her mother is permanently dead. So, just another way of looking at that, since maybe they wouldn't have given quite so much screen time to the process of extracting that bullet unless it was important for some other episode or some other reason. Thanks for the great job you guys do every episode, and keep up the great work. Thanks. Bye.
All right, thank you. You know, I can't really espouse that opinion because it wouldn't have allowed me to make that terrible, awesome pun.
That was terrible. I don't know about the awesome part.
Terribly awesome.
Yeah. That's cool. We got another spouse call.
Yeah, that's great.
I bet they have good Fringe conversations at their household.
That's true. Do you have good Fringe conversations with your wife?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm all Fringe talked out by the time she and I get a chance to talk about it, and sometimes she doesn't catch the episodes.
That's true.
But
I was going to say here's how the conversation about Fringe goes with my wife.
Okay.
Clint, I can't believe you watched that episode of Fringe without me. That's it. That's the conversation. Yeah.
Oh. Mine often go, hey, you going to watch Fringe with me tonight? No, I think I'm going to read a book instead.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. Then there was the one time with the Thunder game and Fringe weren't at the same
Oh.
time. My wife
Boxing gloves
is a diehard Thunder fan, which is awesome, except for when it conflicts with Fringe. But I have the TV tuner in here in here. I can watch it in here on my Mac. So I did that. We made it happen.
I'm glad you guys were able to make it happen, Daryl.
Yep, the things I do to keep the peace in our household.
Making it happen.
All right.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna move on to Mary.
Hi, this is Mary from Indiana. I'm Mary J76 whenever I'm in chat, which unfortunately isn't often anymore. I'm actually calling about something I noticed in part 1 of Brave New World. While Walter is examining a victim near the escalator, Walter comments that he once had a watch like one the victim is wearing. He then mentions that the watch was given to him by his Uncle Heinrich. Now, Heinrich is the German translation of the name Henry. So do you think we will hear more about Uncle Heinrich in season 5? And could he possibly be the source of Henrietta's name? Just something I thought I'd throw out there and see what you guys think. Hope you all have a great summer. Look forward to hearing more about Fringe in the new season. Bye-bye.
It's a good theory.
It is good.
Yeah, it was another German tie-in.
Uh-huh. I told you when we heard Shane, we'd had one more coming. That was it.
And another Henry tie-in.
Uh-huh. It'd be cool if all this stuff does tie in.
I would love it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it will. I don't know that every thing is going to tie in and every question is going to be answered. I don't have that expectation, and I really hope that most people don't. But it'd be cool if some of these things that we're seeing repeated over and over in these voicemails are actually tied in.
I'd love it.
Yep.
Love it. Are you listening, writers?
Hopefully.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
We've got some great ideas on how you can tie in that Mole Rat Boy episode. Just give us a call.
Yes. Agent Jessup is actually the head of the ZFT. And she goes back in time with Nina to allow the Nazis to commandeer a Tyrannosaurus Rex into the future and destroy and eat all the observers. Bam! Best season ever.
That was actually quite good. Oh, with Sanford Harris by her side.
That's right.
I forgot about that guy.
Harris.
Oh boy, that was good. That was good. All right, well that's all the feedback we have today. We got so much in for the podcast, and we're so grateful for everyone who sent that in. I don't know that we're really going to be doing any feedback through the summer with our summer rewatch.
Now, Daryl, I have to say,
okay,
you teased an audio feedback from David Wu, and you said you were going to play it this episode.
I did.
Okay.
Yep. I have it.
Okay.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Well, I just wanted to make sure.
I was going to put it as an Easter egg after the closing music.
You should still do that.
Okay, that's where I plan on putting it.
But don't tell anybody.
It's too late.
Like
for
I
that.
did.
Yeah. No, that's fine. It's not a big deal that you didn't know I was going to do that. But like I was saying, I don't know that we're really going to do a feedback during the summer. I mean, that's kind of the idea of the water cooler talk, is to bring in community interaction that way. Feel free to send it in. I'm just I can't promise that we'll actually do any feedback throughout the summer.
That's right. It's going to go into a black hole.
It very likely may, but
it's like that thing at Central Park that the machine got sucked through.
There you go.
You're just going to toss it out there and hope that sometime in the future it'll come back around.
That's right. It'll come back around. So if you want to do that, the phone number is 304-837-2278, or you can typey out an email or send us an egg vortex formatted audio file over at feedback@thefringepodcast.com. Are you glad I used your egg vortex?
Thank you so much. Oh, man. You can also follow us on Twitter at Fringe Observers, or catch us on Facebook at facebook.com/Golden Spiral Media.
Mm-hmm.
Go over to our website, click on all of the ads, buy stuff, generate revenue for us. You can also do that by going to our Cafe Press store, which is at thefringepodcast.com/shop. We will use that money to kill 7 billion people instead of 1 billion.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. We are going to be podcasting other things besides the Summer Rewatch podcast. All of our podcasts, including this one you're listening to, are available in one all-inclusive mother feed, and you can get that over at goldenspiralmedia.com. You can also search in iTunes for Golden Spiral Media. It's called the all-inclusive feed, and it's exactly what it sounds like.
It's just like Sandals Resort when you go to the Bahamas.
That's right.
You get all of the food, all you can eat. You're going to come back weighing 15 pounds heavier.
That's right.
After digesting all of the podcasts over the summer.
That's correct. All right. Anything else, Clint?
I think I've said enough.
I think you have. Guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks again for sitting in all the feedback. Looking forward to the summer rewatch as we go through the whole series of Fringe up to date. Hope you'll join us for that. And until next time, stay Fringe-tastic.
And keep it nerdy.
The Fringe Podcast and Golden Spiral Media are not associated with Bad Robot Productions, Warner Brothers, or Fox. Golden Spiral Media's use of any and all copyrighted material is only for parody, news analysis, critique, and for educational purposes, as provided within United States Code, Title 17, aka Fair Use. Copyright 2012, Golden Spiral Media.
Shot in the back, and Tom's to blame. You give strange creatures a bad name. Shot in the back, and Tom's to blame. You give strange creatures a bad name. That was fantastic.